So this part of my journey, certainly the coaching side, began because I said something relatively horrible on LinkedIn. And the comment I made was, if you're using the word fractional and you've got one client and it's on day rate and it's going to last 6 months, you're not fractional and you're walking a dangerous path. And it genuinely came from a position of compassion and care and love for the market. But what I was really saying was, if you're not doing anything to perpetuate your own success, then everything is an accident. And if you're me,
Wh-
well, you think about it. A lot of people, those first few gigs that you get as a solopreneur, and it doesn't matter what we call ourselves, the list is long and endless and it will continue to
Yep.
grow,
Yeah.
ranging from freelancer through to fractional. The first few gigs that most people get are entirely based on referrals. And I spit in the last 3 years, I've spoken to over 1,000 solopreneurs. I've in calls like this, and they all say the same thing. I got a couple of early referrals. It went really well. I thought I was king of the hill, and then the referrals dried up. And I go, when you were getting those referrals, did you ever stop and think, I never created that? Because that was my wake up call.
Mm.
I walked the same path. I got a nice referral from somebody that I used to work with, didn't stop and think about it, jumped in because I wanted to generate revenue. I got about 6 months into the engagement when it dawned on me that I had done the absolute sum total of zero to create that piece of business for myself. I just happened to
It
be,
had happened to you, didn't it?
yeah,
Really, you didn't make it. It happened to you, luckily. But
luckily, because it kept me off the streets. It kept a roof over my family's head and food on the table, as they say. But once you've thought to yourself, actually, my entire business is 100% dependent on somebody else remembering that I exist at the right moment in time. That's the turning
hmm
point for most consultants when they wake up and they go, I am not running a consultancy here. I'm running a lucky venture. And some people, don't get me wrong, I've met a few people that have been doing that for 10 plus years. But again, as with the former narrative, they have an attribute. They are prolific networkers and they just don't realize that that's what's doing it. For
right.
me,
So they're doing it. The thing that you described as being lucky almost that you had a referral. They are doing also accidentally without knowing, but they are doing it, and that's the difference.
yeah, they are, you know, when you leave corporate life, you've got credibility, you've got a network of people around you that know exactly who you are and what you do. And they become your referral partners, if you like, for want of a
Yep.
nicer, more elegant phrase. And when you disappear inside an engagement and you stop all of that networking that you were doing in corporate life because you're busy, that network starts to cool down.
hmm
So when you pop up 6 months later in panic mode because that engagement has ended, you're back to square one. You're starting to build again. You're starting to create visibility. You're starting to, put your name about, as it were. The people that are continuously successful never stop the network inside of the equation. Even if they do it just a small amount, they do it enough to maintain visibility. So for me, the turning point in my logic, in my understanding was I need to perpetually create visibility. And I remember on a whiteboard sort of over there with my wife explaining it and going, it's a flywheel. Visibility is a
Right.
flywheel. If you keep it moving, it's easy. If you let it slow down and stop, it takes a lot of effort. And if you loiter on LinkedIn for more than 2 or 3 months, you'll see the same people appear, become hyperactive, then disappear, normally after a congratulations announcement. They
Yep.
disappear for a few months and then they pop up again and they go hyperactive, then they disappear again. And they go, that's the visual version of the feast and famine cycle. You can avoid it when you know how to create client, not by accident. You can avoid it when you know how to keep your visibility up. But most people, and me included, okay, look, if there are any mistakes, if anyone's listening and you can think of mistakes in the consulting landscape, I've probably made them on several occasions and
Right.
learned the hard way. But most people coming into the industry, wanting to work for themselves, wanting to create their own business, the first point of realization is you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and also listening to you, it seems that you may be lucky. You may get a gig for 6 months or a year or whatever it happens to be. And even if people know you, when that ends and you put your hand up and go, hey, I'm free, you're trusting that the network that you have built up have actually got something available and suitable for you now.
Yep.
Because if they haven't, you're not going to get it.
People make this assumption. There's a human condition called object permanence, which in essence suggests that the moment you stop thinking about something, the thing itself never changes until you think about it again. There's a lot of people in the world that suffer with object permanence. People do it with regards to their own networks. So you talk to the same group of maybe 20 or 30 people all the time, and then you stop talking to them and you go off and do your own thing. When you pop up 6 months later, your natural assumption is they are the same people doing the same thing with the same overall situation. But the reality is that's not true. The reality is they all kept moving. They all, progressed in their careers, changed jobs. Some of them even, dare I
Yep.
say it, retired.
Yep.
And so you come back and you now got to learn what each of their positions is and whether they're relevant and whether they're able to help or whether they've got anything that's useful for you. And so you're starting from scratch. You're almost rebuilding your network every single time you start that activity versus the alternative, which when we say it like this seems quite obvious, which is just don't stop networking with them in the first place. There you go.
Right. Now,